A man named Richard penned the words to the song, Fill My Cup, Lord. And this has become one of my favorite songs because, like Richard, like a woman at the well, I was seeking for things that could not satisfy. But then I heard my Savior speaking, Miriam, draw from the well that shall never run dry. A story is told, a story that has become probably one of my many favorite stories in the Bible. Let's turn our Bibles to John chapter 4. John chapter 4. Most of you may know her as the woman of Samaria. Most of you may know her as the Samaritan woman. But I know her as Sam. You see, I've given Sam a name because Sam has got an experience that has changed my life. So here we find Sam. Sam is walking to the well. But before she gets to the well, I can only imagine that in the morning, when Sam wakes up, Sam has a plan. Sam has an agenda for her day. Sam has no idea that at that point, that very day, she is going to meet a man who's going to change her life. You see, I don't know why you came to camp meeting this year. I don't know why you've been coming to the camp meetings previous years. But it is my prayer that this year you meet a man who is going to change your life. It is my prayer that this year, when you return home, you do not return home the same. Sam sees this man at the well. And I can only imagine, Sam has had 5 husbands in the past. So as she looks at this man, it must have come across her mind like, what does he want? Why is he at my well? But you see, as she approaches Jesus, she realizes that this man is a Jew. What is a Jew doing here? You see, in those days, Jews and Samaritans did not mix. As she approaches, I can imagine Jesus looks handsome. Jesus is like, I can only imagine how handsome he looks. And Sam must have thought, this man. But there was something about this man. She didn't know who he was at this point. Right. So as she looks, Jesus says, give me a drink. And Sam looks and says, how can you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan, for water? How can you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan, for water? In John chapter 4, verse 10, Jesus answered her and said to her, if you knew the gift of God and who it is who says to you, give me a drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. Living water, to me, out of thought, if I was Sam, out of thought, maybe that means I do not have to take all these trips to the well. At the hottest part of the day, maybe I do not have to walk alone in my shame and my guilt. This living water that Jesus offers, what is it? Sam asked. The woman said to him, sir, you have nothing to draw with. The well is deep. Where then do you get that living water from? Sam had no idea who this man was. Jesus goes on to say in verse 13 and 14, Jesus answered and said to her, whoever drinks of this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water, springing up into everlasting life. There is so much that we can get from the story. I do not have the time. I could spend all day. But you see, all of us here are born with this nameless longing in our hearts. We have this void deep in our hearts. I knew I had it. Years ago, I knew I had it. I looked for money. I looked for friendships. I looked for clothes. I looked for fashion. I just had this longing in my heart that nothing could fill. Nothing in this world could fill that void until I met the man, Jesus. So here is Sam, and Jesus is telling her, that woman, this water that you keep coming to get is going to leave you thirsty. Let me give you something. You will never have to thirst again. Many of us here, maybe you came to camp meeting with this nameless longing. There is something that you want. Maybe you came here to find a man. Ladies, maybe you came here to find a man, hoping that this man will complete you, will fill this void in your heart. Men, maybe you came here trying to find a wife, but only God can satisfy. God alone satisfies. You see, before Jesus shows us our need, he needs to show us what it is that we are longing for. Jesus asked Sam, woman, go and call your husband. Jesus knows Sam's life. But Jesus needs to show Sam that I know your need. And Sam, I can imagine she's embarrassed. This man, I have no husband. And Jesus tells her, yes, you have spoken truly. You have no husband. You've had 5. And the man that you're living with now, I can imagine this man that you're living with now doesn't even think you're worth committing to. Sam must be broken. But there's something about the presence of Jesus. There is something about the presence of Jesus that changes Sam's life that very day. Jesus did not have to perform no miracle. Jesus spoke into Sam's life that very day. And Jesus is willing to speak into your broken places. That place that you're trying to fill with all these earthly things that cannot fill. Jesus is at your well. I do not know what your well is. I know mine. And I know that as I'm here, I've heard so many powerful messages. And I know Jesus was sitting at my well waiting for me, saying, Miriam, come, drink of this water. Drink of this water. Jesus is offering the same water that is offering Sam, is the same water that he's offering you today. In that broken place, in that longing that you feel, it's not for anybody here on earth. Only God can fill your need. This story is so exciting, but I have to jump to my main point. You see, after Jesus and Sam had spoken, Jesus then in verse 28 and 29, the woman then left her water pot, went her way into the city, and said to the man, come see a man who told me all things that I ever did. Could this be the Christ? Then they went out into the city and came to him. You are leaving camp meeting in 2 days. You are leaving camp meeting in 2 days. I do not know what your experience has been, but Sam had an experience with Jesus. Jesus changed Sam's life. Jesus has been in our midst. We've had so many sermons. My message to you today is do not leave this place the same. Leave your empty water pot. Leave your empty water pot at the feet of Jesus. As you leave this place, leave your burdens. Pray and ask Jesus to fill you up with His Spirit, fill you up with this water that will never run dry. Ask Jesus to quench this thirst in your heart. Clothes will not do it. Ask me, I know. Money will not do it. Relationships will not do it. Nothing in this world will ever satisfy that longing that you feel deep down in your heart. Don't spend your money here just to go back out there the same. Leave your empty water pot at the well and go and tell those people you left behind, those people at your universities, those people at home. Go and tell your family, come and see this man who's changed my life. Share with them what Jesus has done in your life. Tell them, show them the way you will live when you leave this place. Let it not be just any ordinary camp meeting. Let Jesus fill that void in your heart. Leave this place with Jesus. Leave your empty water pot. The people back at home, they may know your past. I don't know your past, but they may know your past. And they may think, what is it that you can tell us? But then, if we jump to verse 39. And many of the Samaritans of that city believed in him because of the word of the woman who testified. He told me all that I ever did. There is power in your testimony. Don't leave this place the same. There is power in your testimony. Go out there and tell those people, come and see this man who's changed my life. Jesus changed my life. Jesus changed my life. I will share my testimony another time because Jesus changed my life. I was like Sam. I had this empty water pot that I was carrying around, seeking for people to fill that empty water pot with anything, anybody who can fill that water pot. But that water pot had holes. It was always leaking. I was always up and down, up to my well, trying to fill my empty water pot. But now Jesus has filled my life. Jesus has changed my life. And I'm here to testify that Jesus can change your life. Jesus can fill that nameless longing that you have in your heart. All we have to do is to say, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxious ways. See if there's any wicked way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. Ask God to search your heart. If you haven't done so already this week, tonight, Sunday, ask God, Lord, search my heart. See if there's any wicked way in me, Lord, and lead me in the way everlasting. Let God change your life. Do not leave this place the same. Do not leave this place the same. Jesus is waiting at your well. Jesus is waiting at your well. It may be your well of friendship. You want somebody to tell you your worth. It may be your well of cars and money. These things will never satisfy you. Only Jesus satisfies. Today, I want us to pray. I want us to break up into groups of 2. And our prayer is simply, Lord, search me. Search me, Lord. Do not be afraid. God is going to reveal to you the things that you are trying to fill the void with. Don't be afraid. Jesus will show you what it is that you need before he can fill that void. Ask God, Lord, search me and know my heart. Try me and see my anxious ways. And see if there's any wicked way in me. And lead me in the way everlasting. No matter what you do, refuse to leave this place the same. Let God change your heart. That is my message for you today. So can we break up into pairs of 2 and pray? Amen.